Hey, what's up? This is Carlos from Hybrid Records. Welcome back to the channel where we complain about the record store day list every year, but end up still copying at least a half a dozen releases. So if that didn't give away what this video is about, and if you didn't read the title, if somehow you came in a few seconds into this video, we're talking about Record Store Day. The list is out for Record Store Day 2020. It's happening April 23rd. Now is as good a time as any to mention that Hybrid Records is moving. We've been in the same location for 6 years. I like the location well enough, and a lot has happened there. It's going to be kind of sad to leave it, I think. But we've been wanting to move. We've been wanting to make a change. We've been wanting to kind of elevate what we're doing, and that's what's happening. A great opportunity came up, so we are heading to downtown Corpus Christi. We should be open in the new location first week of April, but our grand reopening party is going to be Record Store Day 2022. So that is on April 23rd. The Hybrid Records grand reopening in downtown Corpus Christi is going down. So now that I have formally stated that, I've kind of hinted at it if you've looked at our social media and stuff, but now that it is out there in the world, that's what's happening. So more on that. We'll probably be posting some videos and stuff about the progress with the new shop. But yeah, anyhow, what we're here to talk about is the list for Record Store Day. Now, over the last couple years, it seems like there's been a Record Store Day every month, and I agree, it does seem like that. And it looks like this year they're just going back to one Record Store Day and then Black Friday. But that being said, number one, I feel like every year the list comes out, there's always people complaining about it. And like Josh and I are some of those people sometimes. A lot of the times we'll be like, I don't know, there's not quite as much that I'm interested in this year. And then you'll see people popping up on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube saying, is this Record Store Day or is this Picture Disc Day? Is this Record Store Day or is this Reissue Day? Or is this, I don't know, whatever, is this Colored Vinyl Day and instead of Record Store Day? Whatever people have to complain about, there's always something. And again, I'm not above that. But then once the stuff comes in and you start seeing it all, you start seeing all the packaging, the cover art and stuff, you're like, actually, this is much cooler than I thought it was. This is much cooler than I thought it was. And we all end up buying a bunch of this stuff, no matter how much we want to complain and, you know, whatever. So that's number one. Number two, it seems to me, especially in the time that I've been doing this as a shop owner, that Record Store Day has had a tough time finding the balance between Record Store Day and between Black Friday. There have been years where the Black Friday list has just been stupid stacked, and then the next year they'll kind of overcorrect a little bit, and there won't really be a ton. There'll be like 3 or 4 really good titles, and then a bunch of kind of filler or whatever. And I understand that they want to make Record Store Day the main attraction as opposed to Black Friday, but it seems like there's this kind of teeter-tottering back and forth between trying to even it out and find that balance. And if the idea is to make the April Record Store Day the big, huge main event, then they did that this year. You know, obviously we don't know what's going to happen on Black Friday. Maybe that list goes stupid hard as well. But this year for Record Store Day, it's the 15th anniversary of Record Store Day. It started in 2008, and so it makes sense that they would really go off. But, I mean, there are a ton of great titles, which I'll get into a little bit more in a second. But I want to end on a positive note. So I'm going to start off with my what section of the list, because there definitely are some things that I just don't get. I just don't understand. I mean, there's always something on there where it's like, wait, what? Did we need that? And in this case, there's not very many. The LA Woman box set from the Doors, I mean, there's always some kind of Doors thing. Like the last one was Morrison Hotel outtakes or sessions or something. And sure, I mean, I guess if you're an absolutely crazy fanatical Doors fan, then that's something you're going to need in your collection. But the quantities in which they're pressing these, I think there's like 4,000 of that LA Woman box set, which I guess in 2020 isn't a lot of records, but also how big is the market for a 4 LP LA Woman box set when that record isn't necessarily like impossible to find. This one really baffles me. Van McCoy, The Hustle. I mean, that is not a hard original to find. It's like a $5 record or something. So that one really kind of made my head spin. And then the second to last one, the last one is really baffling, but this one, Stevie Nicks' Belladonna, what in the hell is going on with this one? I mean, that is a hugely popular album and people ask for it all the time, but why on earth is it a Record Store Day exclusive? Why are they not making 50 billion kajillion of this so that we can just have it in the store whenever, and any Stevie Nicks fan that walks in off the street can be like, hey, do you have Stevie Nicks' Belladonna? I'd be like, yeah, of course I do. It's readily in print, and so it's right here. But instead, no, we're getting a, colored vinyl Record Store Day? Come on. With a title like that, stop with the gimmicky crap and just make it available, because everybody wants it. Everybody. So just don't get it. And then the last one is the new Casey Musgraves record, Starcross. What on earth is this about? I mean, this is not even me saying that I like Casey or I don't like Casey, or that the record was good or that the record was bad. Not taking any of that into consideration. We have so many copies of this in backstock that we cannot sell. I've heard reports that they printed anywhere between 500,000 to 1 million copies of this thing, and we're getting another version of it on picture disc. I mean, literally, I have double-digit copies of this record that I have marked down to $14.99, almost half the retail price, because we can't sell them. And now we're getting another version of it, which I'm sure there will be people coming in asking if we have it, which is frustrating to me, because it's like, now all of a sudden people that didn't buy the first one want it because it's on a picture disc, and you made so many copies of the record only to give us another version of it is just egregious, in my opinion. And if you're watching this video and, because you found it on YouTube and you're not a regular of the shop or following us on social media or anything like that, go to our website right now. Casey Musgraves Starcross, one of 3 surprise color variants, is on sale for $14.99. Under $5 shipping, please. I need to clear out the space. But yeah, so those are the ones. I mean, the Casey one really made my head spin, just because there's so many copies of the initial run of that available, and then with all the exclusives at this place and that, it's just, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. But yeah, so those are the ones that really made my head spin. But there are a lot of other titles that I'm stoked about, and that I really want to talk about. One in particular, which I'm going to save for last. But let's talk about the good stuff now. All right, so the good stuff on the list, the stuff that I am super hyped about. I'm obviously not going to be able to pick up all of these, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 14, 15 titles on here that I saw that I was like, oh, that's rad. Well, let's just get straight into it. It's mostly in the order that it was presented on the list. So you can follow along at home if you'd like. RecordStoreDay.com is where you can find the list. There will be a link down there if you can't remember RecordStoreDay.com. But, okay, so let's go. Blue Velvet Deluxe Edition. Sick. There was a reissue of this maybe 5 years ago. That was pretty cool. But this one has new artwork and is expanded. It's a freaking great soundtrack and a great film. The Watchmen 3LP soundtrack. I like this. I really don't like Zack Snyder at all. But this was a pretty faithful adaptation to the text, and I think not a bad film overall. And the soundtrack is pretty decent. And there's some interesting stuff on it. Like, this will be very controversial, but My Chemical Romance does a really good cover of Desolation Row by Bob Dylan. Like, a great cover of it, in my opinion. Which is only on the Watchmen soundtrack, so that's pretty dope. Strawberries by the Damned. Anytime that something by the Damned becomes more readily available, I'm stoked on it. Although Machine Gun Etiquette has been in stock and easy to get, which is nice, because great record. We're getting a Halloween show from Rocky Erickson. famous for the Halloween shows he used to do. We're getting one of those on vinyl, which is cool. We're getting some Handsome Boy Modeling School, which is sick. Jazz Sabbath Volume 2. I don't know if you heard the first Jazz Sabbath record, but it is great. And we ordered like 10 or 15 of it. It was a Record Store Day release, the first one, and we got 0. So I'm probably going to go pretty hard ordering this one to make sure that we get some. It came into reissue a little bit later after that with different cover art and on just plain black vinyl, which we had some copies of, but loved that Jazz Sabbath record and really excited to hear Volume 2 because their renditions of the first batch of songs they did were great. Duan Jones 7-inch coming out from Coal Mine. Duan Jones is, by overwhelming consensus, one of our favorite groups of the moment in the shop. It's great. They're great, and as a DJ who mostly plays 7 inches, I'd say like 75 to 80% of my DJ sets are 45s. Love to get a 45 from them. We're getting some Kim Shattuck demos, the Muffs. R.I.P. Kim Shattuck. Love the Muffs. One of my favorite groups of the time, like the 90s and 2000s. Satan's Pilgrims Live from Jackpot Records. That's pretty dope. Satan's Pilgrim stuff has not been easy to stock as of late. Every time I try to order one of their albums, it's back ordered or, can't get it. The Ramones Sire Years 7 LP box set. Now, this is a glaring omission in my collection. I don't have any Ramones records. I have the Bonzo Goes to Bitburg 12-inch single, but other than that, I don't have any of their full records. And I mean, it's just one of those bands that it doesn't come in used very often. And when it does, I mean, it's something that sells so well and that people are always asking for and stuff, and just one of those bands that you always want to have in stock in your store. And so it makes it really difficult for me to keep any of their stuff. So I'm probably not picking this up either because it's probably going to be too expensive. They're making a good amount of copies of it, so we should not have a problem getting them. And I'm sure, people will want it. I'm sure it's going to be a great box. I don't know. That's one I'll have to think about a little bit. I got a couple months to mull it over. Go Ahead Punk, Make My Day, Nitro Records sampler. I really like this release because my childhood was CD samplers. I mean, or compilations or whatever, whether it was like Rock Against Bush or like the Warped Tour samplers. But I feel like the CD sampler is kind of like a lost thing. I mean, in the years that I've been doing this, that I've been a record store owner, Heavy Psych Sounds and Run for Cover have sent me CD samplers, and I think that's it. And they're cool. I love that. I love the Heavy Psych Sounds samplers, and the one that we just got from Run for Cover is great as well. And so the fact that they're taking this one, which was a big sampler for its time, a big compilation for its time, and putting it on vinyl with the original artwork and stuff is super sick. I mean, Nitro Records had some of the best, like, skate punk bands of their time on their label. And then the last two that I'm the most hyped about is the Nowhere Inn soundtrack from St. Vincent. The Nowhere Inn was an indie movie starring St. Vincent and Carrie Brownstein, where Carrie Brownstein, how do I explain it? It's so meta. It's a mockumentary about Carrie Brownstein making a fake documentary about St. Vincent on tour, where Carrie Brownstein discovers that Annie Clark is actually kind of boring and calm, playing board games on the bus. There's no partying, there's no lavishness, there's nothing of the bombastic St. Vincent persona that carries over into Annie Clark's life, and so she's dying to figure out how to make this documentary interesting, and things really go off the rails from there. I thought it was a really cool movie. Not everyone agreed with me, but if there is one thing that we can agree on, it's that the soundtrack smacks. Annie Clark is one of the great musicians of our time. The title track is great. There's a lot of incidental music in there from her as well. And I've been wondering since the film came. This film was supposed to come out in 2020, premiered at Sundance in 2020, and then obviously given the pandemic and everything got pushed back and finally came out in 2021. And so with as long as it's been kind of in the works to release the film, you would have thought a soundtrack by St. Vincent would be vinyl ready. They'd be ready to ship it off. And so I've been scratching my head wondering, like, when are we going to get some kind of announcement about this? And thankfully it's coming out for Record Store Day. And then the big one for me, I mean, this might not be as big a deal for most people, but for me, this is huge because I've been saying for the last 10 years, when are they going to release this on vinyl? When are they going to release this on vinyl? And it is the Royal Tenenbaum soundtrack. It's a great soundtrack, and I'm glad it's finally coming out because, you know, a lot of his soundtracks weren't available on vinyl for a long time, and now this one, maybe his best one, is finally coming out, and I'm very, very, very hyped about it. But anyway, that's the Record Store Day list. Subscribe to the channel, do all this stuff, and leave a comment about what your favorite Record Store Day release from this year is going to be and what you're going to be after. And keep an eye out for the new Hybrid Records. Hybrid Records 2.0 coming at you April 23rd. I'll see you next time.